This story starts on one of those freezing gray afternoons when all I wanted was a quiet spot to finish my midterm paper. I go to a pretty old university in upstate New York, the kind of place with long winters, ivy-covered buildings, and a history that goes back to the 1800s. I'm a junior majoring in English Lit, so I spend a lot of time in the library. There's a massive one on campus, 4 floors, endless shelves, and a creepy reputation that most students joke about. The lower level, or the basement, is rarely used anymore. It used to house rare books and archives, but most of it has been moved online or relocated. Still, the space is open for studying. Dim lighting, no windows, weird echo. I'd never gone down there until midterms hit. It was a Wednesday night. Around 9 p.m., I needed a quiet place to finish a paper, and every upstairs table was taken. So I decided to check out the basement. The air down there was different, cooler and still, like the walls had soaked up silence. There were only 2 other students scattered in the distance, both with headphones in, zoned out. I picked a spot near the back corner. At first, it was fine, peaceful, even. But about an hour in, I started hearing a strange scratching sound coming from the bookshelves behind me. I turned around, but nothing. A few minutes later, I heard it again, like fingernails lightly scraping wood. I walked over, thinking maybe a mouse or something. But all I saw was an old, dusty row of books on forgotten topics. One book was slightly pulled out, like someone had just been reading it. The title was Behavioral Studies of Isolation, 1894 to 1901. I pushed it back in and returned to my seat. That's when I realized the 2 students who were there earlier were gone. I hadn't even heard them leave. I tried to focus on my work, but I felt off. You know that feeling like someone's standing behind you? I glanced at the rows of books, then to the far wall. There was a mirror on it. I hadn't noticed it before. It was small, like one of those antique vanity mirrors, nailed right into the wall. And in the reflection, I swear, I saw someone standing between the shelves behind me. I turned quickly, but no one there. I told myself I was just tired. But the scratching sound started again, this time closer, and then I heard breathing, soft, ragged, right above my shoulder. I ran. But as I reached the stairs, I noticed something that stopped me cold. There were wet footprints on the floor leading away from the table I was sitting at. Bare feet. They weren't there before. And they disappeared halfway across the basement, as if the person just vanished. I went straight to the campus security office. I didn't even care how paranoid I looked. They agreed to check the cameras, though they warned me not much coverage existed in the basement due to renovation delays. The next day, an officer called me in to show me the footage. At first, it was just me working at my laptop. Then I got up and walked toward the shelves. But as I stood at the bookshelf, looking around, a tall figure stepped into the frame. Pale, bald, barefoot. Wearing a soaked hospital gown, he was standing just behind me, watching. But here's the worst part. I never reacted. He followed me for nearly 30 seconds, breathing over my shoulder, and I didn't flinch. I never saw him. Not with my eyes, but the mirror did. The officer paused the footage. He looked pale. "We've seen this guy before," he said quietly. "There've been reports like yours every few years, always from the basement. Always from students who sit in that same back corner." He leaned in and said, "That part of the basement used to be a psychiatric archive. Back when the university had a private hospital, the patients were kept underground. Some of them died down there. It's been a few months now, but I still think about that night in the basement more often than I'd like to admit. I haven't been able to make sense of it, none of it. The noises, the footprints, the figure on the footage, it all just lingers in my mind like an itch I can't scratch. I've tried to find answers. I went through the university archives, asked old librarians, even checked local news stories for anything about strange occurrences on campus, especially in the library. A few vague rumors, mostly second-hand stories. No clear records. The officer who showed me the footage, I haven't seen him again. When I asked about him at the security office, they told me no one by that name works there. I thought maybe it was all stress-induced, sleep deprivation. Maybe I imagined more than I saw. But then, why did the security footage show what I couldn't see in person? Why do I still hear things? The scratching still happens sometimes at night in my dorm room. I've moved furniture, checked vents, even recorded audio, but nothing shows up. And the mirror on my closet door? It gives me the worst feeling now. Every time I walk past it, I catch myself avoiding eye contact, afraid I'll see something that isn't there, or worse, something that is. This entire experience, it still doesn't make sense to me. No matter how much I've researched, how many times I've tried to rationalize it, I've come up with nothing. No solid explanations. Just dead ends and half whispers from people who don't want to talk about it. So now I just live with it. The fear, the silence, and the feeling that something might still be following me, that maybe. I let something out when I opened that book, or maybe it was never trapped to begin with. Whatever it is, it hasn't stopped. It hasn't left. And the scariest part? I think it's waiting for me to come back.